Are you looking to take the next step toward investing in commercial real estate but don't know where to go? CRE Central offers a comprehensive education and coaching platform designed to help you get started. Our online courses cover a wide range of topics, from the fundamentals to advanced strategies, ensuring you have the knowledge and skills needed to thrive in this competitive industry. As a member, you'll gain access to our exclusive online community and monthly group coaching calls, providing you with valuable networking opportunities and personalized guidance from experienced professionals. Whether you're a beginner or looking to take your career to the next level, CRE Central has the resources you need. Visit www.crecentral.com to learn more. Welcome back to the Commercial Real Estate Investor Podcast, live from the Cobble Group Studios here in Nashville, Tennessee, for another episode of Office Hours. If you have questions about commercial real estate, I'm your mentor. Look at me as your coach. Jump in the lives every Tuesday, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Let me hear your questions. Happy to answer them. The advice is free, so you're probably getting what you pay for. Couple of updates on this past week. It's been a good week overall. We filmed an update on Salt Ranch. If you've been keeping up with us, that's the boutique hotel that I have been working on for 2 years now. We're just now starting construction. It was tough not to get a little too upset about the entire Metro Nashville permitting zoning issues that we've had there. But I figured, you know what, it's appropriate. We have finally restarted everything on that project. So let's get an update out to everybody. And we're going to be giving you, video updates every couple of months as we move forward. Hopefully kind of treating it like an HGTV style of, hey, here's how we're doing this boutique hotel. If you want to do something like it, just follow this video series, reach out, ask questions. Really excited to finally be getting that done. It's going to be such a beautiful project, and I can't wait to personally have it off of my development books and on my investment side of things instead. For those of you that applied for the apprenticeship that I have at Peerless Mill, thank you for being patient with me. I had I've got a lot going on right now. That's not an excuse. 2, there were 21 applications, and I don't know if, for those of y'all that saw, there were like 15 or 20 questions on there. They were pretty in-depth, and I did that intentionally because I didn't just want anybody applying. I really wanted the people that wanted to put in some effort and show, why they should be apprenticing with us. So I finally shot out emails this morning on all of those to start scheduling follow-up calls with the, applications that we are interested in talking to. So excited to be taking the next steps there. Had some amazing people apply. I mean, absolutely outstanding resumes. So really excited to be talking with you all. Hopefully we'll be doing those in the next week or so. This weekend, I went down to Chattanooga to negotiate for a 38,000 square foot space that we are looking to get leased here pretty soon. Spent the day just securing more buildings. I mean, that's just I'm like kind of the maintenance man, security guy out there. I ended up going. I'm a big Milwaukee Tools guy. Ended up going to Home Depot. Saw this massive hammer drill that honestly, like, it drills into brick and concrete like butter. And so with that, I was able to actually secure some of these buildings in a better way than I ever have before, and in a tenth of the time. So excited to see if that'll actually work this time and keep some of these buildings secure. We had a group coaching call last night that was phenomenal, and it's actually I've decided to start adding some more stuff to my CRE Accelerator program. So if you've ever considered joining it, I mean, listen up, because I'm adding even more to it. We had a coaching call last night, diving into a case study on a piece of land that I bought that I rezoned from 11 to 63 units. And it didn't make any sense. Like, I've got a lot of content, PDFs, spreadsheets, stuff that just doesn't necessarily make sense in the context of like hey, here's how to invest in commercial real estate sense. But since we're doing these group coaching calls and I'm diving further into this, I'm like, you know what? There's like 20 or 30 pieces of content from, emails to, zoning applications, stuff like that, that's just good to familiarize yourself with the process, that I'm now going to start dropping into the CRE Accelerator group. So Like last night, we covered an RFP, a request for proposal, that my team actually sent out to the architects and engineers that we were going to have design this 63-unit condo complex, that my students will be able to just take, modify for their own projects, and utilize so that they can get better proposals moving forward as they are doing these projects. So we're doing, like, I guess I'm calling it like the CRE Accelerator additional content section that's just going to have even more of that kind of stuff. I mean, you know, the thing that I've always strived to do with that program is create commercial real estate investing in a box and make it as easy on you as possible, because I've been doing this for 10 years. I've got the documents. I've got all sorts of things that, you know, my students could just take, modify, and learn from me instead of having to spend tens of thousands of dollars with other people or years, honestly, of their own time having to learn that. So awesome. That's a little update from me over this past week. Sorry if I am I'm kind of losing my voice. I don't know what's going on. Christopher saying, I have a site that I think could be a good fit for flex industrial project. How would I evaluate the site? That is a great question, Christopher. I don't know that we have a video on the YouTube channel necessarily about determining highest and best use. I know that we do in the program. I would dive into, one, like the best thing that you could do starting out, if you want to get into a development, find a really good civil site engineer and lean on them. They will go do all of the, lift for you. Having looked at this literally last night, I spent 18 grand on a civil engineering firm to go through the full rezoning process for me on that parcel. They go in, they double check the zoning, they schedule all of everything that you need for all of your rezonings, any meetings, pre-app meetings that you need, if there's some sort of, sewer line easement that you want to see if you can relocate, right? They will set up all those meetings for you. They'll even put together, some proposed site plans so that any officials or any community members can visualize what you're actually looking to do there. So that's how I would plan to evaluate the site first, is call a civil engineer, tell them that you want to do a zoning review and maybe even a yield study, right? That a yield study will show you what could be built there and the density that could be built there. And then from there, you'll kind of take that information and you'll, go to your underwriting and say, okay, well, I think it's going to cost X for us to build this. I can rent it for Y. Do the numbers work? Yes or no? Then, either you move forward or you don't. Hope that helps, Christopher. Matt Brown. Morning, Tyler. Good morning, Matt. Any update on the status of the apprenticeship? Oh, funny. Well, there we go. I just updated everybody on that. So there you go, Matt. Hopefully you caught that, but I just shot out emails to everybody that applied this morning. Robinson, USMC is saying good morning, all. Good morning, Robinson. Trevor, the relationship between cash on cash and debt service coverage ratio and what you can do to maximize cash flow with current market. Not really sure what your question is there. Are you wanting me to talk about the relationship between cash on cash and debt service coverage ratio, or what you can do to maximize cash flow with the current market? Cash on cash right now, if you're able to get 8%, good for you. The problem is debt is also 8%. So, you end up actually losing money on all of that. I was actually just having this conversation not even 30 minutes ago with an investor, diving into, because they wanted to pull some money out of their home equity and do a line of credit there. And I was talking to them. It's like, we could definitely put that money to work for you. The problem is you're going to need something that's cash flowing immediately, because you're going to be paying 7.5%, 8% on that home equity line of credit. And you don't necessarily want to be coming out of pocket for that investment, which means you need to be coming up with something that's 8, 9, 10% cash on cash returns. And it's just tough to, really find something like that that's going to work today. So, it's tough out there today. I'm all about bringing a little more equity to the table to be more safe. And as I always kind of have been, adding as much value as I possibly can. I like to take on the deals that need more work because I can force the appreciation and turn it into something that's significantly more valuable in the long run. That's kind of my thoughts here. All right, the realist vet is saying, what is the biggest piece of advice you would give to someone looking to transition into commercial real estate? Great question. Just do it. Make the leap. Jump off the cliff. Don't think about it. So, look, it's easier said than done, right? I mean, I got started in commercial real estate when I was 21. I needed like $50 a week to survive, right? So it's a lot easier when you're younger and you don't have a lot of expenses or overhead. That being said, if you've got 6 to 12 months of reserves, right, or you're working on weekends. I had to work on weekends. I mean, when I first got into commercial real estate, I was waiting tables on weekends or working in construction. I was doing anything I could to get by. I mean, I made like $40,000 my first year in commercial real estate brokerage. But when you're like, which sounds like a decent amount, right? That's okay. But when it's 100% commission, it's not that great, right? Like $40,000 base salary compared to $40,000 in commissions, those two very, very, very different incomes. So yeah, I mean, I was having to work construction and do whatever I could on the weekends just to make it work. Do it. The sooner the better. It's one of those industries that I think compounds the longer that you are in it, and doesn't necessarily have a ceiling unless you want to put a ceiling on it. Let's be honest. Residential, you can only do so much before you start having to hire a team to help you. And then you almost kind of go backwards in terms of efficiency, right? Because then you're having to hire a certain amount of people to do even more deals to make as much money as you were before when you were handling everything. Whereas in commercial real estate, I mean, look, $10 million in closed volume for a residential real estate agent is above average. $10 million in commercial real estate is a good quarter. So we'll put it that way. So find a mentor, get out there and do it. Do anything you can to get a foot in the door. It's worth it. Jay, what's going on, man? He's saying, come take Buchanan. I tried. I like Buchanan. That's a street in North Nashville. I am actually looking at an investment property over off of Jefferson Street. I used to own a property over off of Buchanan, and I love it over there. Slim and Husky's Pizza has done a phenomenal job representing their neighborhood and bringing jobs back to that area. I love that corridor. They're doing some amazing things with the walkability on it. I don't know why it's taking so long for the corridor to turn around. I think, honestly, it got really expensive really fast because everybody started looking at it at the same time, but nothing has really happened yet. But yeah, look, Buchanan, awesome street. I love that area, and I would be happy to buy something over there if anything pops up again. Captain Kurt, how's your flex space development that you have talked about previously, I believe near the highway? Kurt, I'm not sure which one that is. I don't have any flex space developments currently going on. I wonder if that was one of my students that we talked about or something else. I'm not sure. So, I hope it's going great, whatever it was. G Nashville, if CoStar doesn't have any info on a commercial property, what is the best software website to use for site selection report and data? Let's be honest. Let's operate under the assumption that CoStar is not going to have the data on it, because even if CoStar has data, in my experience, it has not been great data. I like to use, it depends on what kind of data you need, right? I love CRS data. I found out last night, apparently they're only in the Southeast. So, that's something to keep in mind. The best app I have ever used, hands down, for commercial real estate, and real estate in general, really, is an app called LandGlide, LandGlide. And I think it's like $10 a month. It's nothing, super minimal, but it basically pulls up a map, shows you all of the parcels, and it has the owner's name written on it. So you can very easily and quickly look at who owns what, and it connects to the tax records, and it works anywhere in the country. So highly recommend that. I love LandGlide. Really interesting app, and they're doing a phenomenal job. Now, that being said, it's not going to have necessarily somebody's contact information, their phone numbers and stuff like that. CRS data does. It will connect straight to white pages. But that's part of being a commercial real estate broker, right? There's no easy way to do it. Here's the thing. Over the years, I've been pitched on so many different pieces of software. Everybody's like, oh, you got to get this piece of software. You got to get that. and you got to get this one to get phone numbers and that one to get whatever. None of it matters. None of it matters at all. Look, I terminated almost all of our software in 2020. CoStar treated me horribly, so I terminated our contracts. Haven't given them $1. And guess what? I had my best year ever in 2022 as a commercial real estate broker. I sold $35 million, which, I mean, I know that's not that much, but I sold $35 million a year by myself and didn't have any of the software, any of the fluff, because I was really good at networking and keeping track of my CRM and just making cold calls and making phone calls and working my network. And you don't necessarily have to make cold calls if you're calling all your friends all the time and you're going out to places and being seen and talking about stuff on social media and all that kind of stuff. So that was my formula. The best year of commercial real estate brokerage I ever had. I had none of the software. I didn't have any of the AIs to help me make phone calls or anything. So I think there's something to be said about, seeing past the shiny object syndrome and making the cold calls or making the calls, putting in the effort. Dwayne, random question. Maybe I'll have a random answer for you. What made you separate the property management division from the main brokerage firm? Good question. One, I've got partners in the property management. I didn't think that it made sense to bring them into the partnership of my brokerage team. Two, I wanted the brands to be separate because no matter how amazing of a property manager you are, you're going to get bad reviews. There are going to be tenants that pay rent late that are going to be upset that you charge them a late fee. Like it's just how it is. And so they'll go and leave you a bad review. Well, we don't have like dissatisfied customers at the Cobble Group, but the brokerage. So it's like, I don't really want that kind of affecting them. So we did that. And then also just liability. Property management often gets brought into lawsuits. Like when a tenant sues a landlord, they're also just going to bring in the property management team. I didn't want the brokerage getting looped into all of that. So multiple reasons, really. I know some people do it all together. God bless them. I just didn't want to deal with that. Christopher saying, good info, thank you. I don't think it would need to be rezoned. Awesome, man. There you go. Let's see. Isabella saying, hey, Tyler, just got my real estate license and want to thank you for your videos as you are the only person I can find on YouTube on commercial real estate. Oh, awesome, Isabella. Thank you so much. That's very nice. Just made my morning. Appreciate it. Well, I'm glad the videos are helpful. At the end of the day, that's all I really want, right? Teach you guys about commercial real estate, and hopefully you guys can do something with it. KY is saying, best website platform for market research or market data. Back when I was like at the height of my brokerage, I would use Site to Do Business, which is like a CCIM affiliate kind of thing. I know Esri has some really good information on it. The next comment says, besides CoStar. Yes, I agree. Besides CoStar. I think that, you can also get like really good local data just by searching, demographics in Nashville or whatever. And I've found some really good resources. Like, here in Nashville, we've got the Downtown Nashville Partnership. Well, they spend money working with the Chamber of Commerce to put together all of this demographic and data on tourism and stuff in Nashville. So that's actually super helpful. I don't need to go to Esri for that. I can just go to Downtown Nashville Partnership and cite their research instead. So always just get creative with it. That's kind of how I feel. But I loved Esri and Site to Do Business. I thought they were great. Honestly, like Crexy will pull in some data on some of the deals that they do. I think LoopNet will pull in some demographic data as well. That's honestly the extent. Here's the thing. Like, that is a weak spot for me as an investor. I know I'm not the best at finding the demographic research or the data because I typically invest in neighborhoods that I know really well, that I have studied for a long time. So I don't necessarily have to go out and get the demographic information for a neighborhood like East Nashville where I've been investing for 5 years and living for 6 because I spend every day in this neighborhood. So it makes my life a little bit easier. So, that being said, mold your lifestyle around the type of investor you want to be. I'm a very lazy investor, and the majority of my properties are within a 10-minute radius of my office. Eric is saying, other than telling them to Google it, is there a best practice for education and inexperienced or inherited gross rent retail tenant about triple net? So Eric, I'm assuming you're asking Is there a way to educate a tenant that is inexperienced on gross rent, retail tenants, and triple nets? Yeah, I mean, I would just have a conversation with them on how triple net leases actually benefit them in the long run. Here's the thing. Triple net leases are just as beneficial for tenants as they are for landlords. A lot of people don't see it that way. But there's a reason that Starbucks will not sign anything other than a triple net or double net lease. They want control of the common area because it reflects on their brand, right? They want to make sure that the money that they're paying is going towards the landscaping. And so as a tenant, when you are in a triple net lease, you can audit all of the common area maintenance, property taxes, and building insurance fees that you are paying to the landlord, which means they can't cut corners and pocket that cash instead. I've seen this way too many times on properties that have gross leases where landlords will just say, you know what, my property taxes went up this year. I need to pocket a little bit more money in exchange for that. So I'm just going to cut back on cleaning from twice a week to once a week. They can do that. I mean, unless in the lease it says specifically you have to do it twice a week. But I mean, they can start to cut back on expenses like that. And that's kind of how some of these properties get into this death spiral and can never really get out of it because some of the landlords just start cutting corners and then the property becomes lower quality and then you get lower quality tenants and then, so on and so forth. So that's the conversation that I would have with them is, look, it holds both of us accountable. It's market. And honestly, like Eric, if everybody else is on a triple net lease and that tenant's not willing to do it, kick them out. Like this is the lease that we're signing, right? I mean, it's market, and I've had to do that before. It's obviously not ideal. I mean, and you could also tell them like, hey, we'll keep it as a gross lease, but here's where your lease needs to be in order for me to be comfortable, right? And you just add a 10, 15%, error budget in there, right? In case anything happens. Vicken is saying, hey guys, what's going on, Vicken? Good to see you. Molly, land glide for the win. Molly, good to see you. We need to catch up soon. You've had a couple of babies, so we haven't been able to really catch up. Derek, good morning all. Let's see. Dwayne is saying CRE Pro app does it as well. Talking about the demographics. Awesome. So there you go. CRE Pro app. Vic and Tyler, I enjoyed your conference. Thank you for sharing to the world. Absolutely. Yeah, that was the video that we dropped this week was a talk that I gave at the Better Life REI Summit in Denver last month. And man, what a great crowd. It was such a fun event. Highly recommend it. If you guys are interested in real estate at all, you should go to Brandon Turner's REI Summit next year. It's awesome. Robinson. Tyler, I am going crazy trying to find a commercial property for a medical supply company. Any advice on where to look other than Crexy, LoopNet, etc.? Robinson, I'm sorry to hear you're dealing with that. Yes, I do have a couple of pieces of advice. One, go to your tax records and go to buildings that are 10 years that have been owned by the same person for 10 years or more that fit all of your other criteria, square footage, location, etc., etc. Print that out, start sending them mailers every quarter. Then I would also start calling every single commercial real estate broker in your market and telling them exactly what you were looking for and, seeing if you can kind of take an off-market approach from that respect. If it's not on market, that's the easiest thing to do is to just go off market. And there's really two efficient ways for you to handle it. Of course, look, you can start knocking on doors. You can start cold calling. It's a lot of work. I'd rather find a broker that's willing to do all that for you and you just send the letters. So hope that helps. The next best thing is just start stopping in, knock on doors and see what's going on. Rusty, a few weeks ago, you mentioned turning big block retail into industrial. What about zoning, cost to install docks, etc.? It seems basis going in doesn't make sense. Rusty, great point. So zoning is a big deal, right? In Nashville, we have several zonings that allow for a wide, array of uses. So it's going to depend on what your specific zoning allows. Not every zoning, like we have, I think, a shopping center zoning, which I actually haven't seen in a long time, but I know that we do have that zoning. And I would imagine that only permits shopping centers, right? So, it would have to be a mixed-use zoning that allows for some sort of distribution, warehousing, et cetera, which there is plenty of that zoning out there. Now, as far as docks go, docks are relatively inexpensive to install depending on what the building is. right? I mean, if you're having to cut through, 10 feet of concrete to get, to install a loading dock, then yeah, it's probably not going to make a whole lot of sense. But most buildings, all you have to do is find an area that is at grade or at the level of which you need it, and just modify it a little bit. Cut holes in the walls. I mean, there's even systems. I get them on my Instagram, like ads for them on my Instagram all the time. Some sort of, like dock installation where it I don't know, it's half the price or cheaper. I don't really know the details of it, but you don't have to do a typical dock installation, and it's a lot cheaper. I'll see if I can find that. I mean, I would imagine now that I've talked about it, my phone's been listening, and it's going to show me the ad as soon as I open it up. So if that's the case, then I'll screenshot it and I'll share it with you guys next week. But it seems like a pretty good solution to me. But yeah, I mean, if you're having to, cut out a bunch of road and dig down to get, a dock, I mean, I would start considering some alternatives, but you can easily build like a wooden ramp that goes up to an 18-wheeler, things like that. Cape Mom is saying, when is the real estate market going to fall on Cape Cod? That's a good question. I don't know. I hope it doesn't. I don't know much about Cape Cod. I've actually never been. I might have to come up there and check it out now. I would assume it's gonna stay strong. I mean, Cape Cod is a beautiful area. It's a nice escape. You've got a lot of people that live in big cities near there, and it's easily accessible city, town area for them to get away to. So I could see why it stays strong and maybe doesn't fall. Derek is saying, hey, Tyler, why don't banks like property that have ground lease since banks' main focus is the physical property? So Derek, it's just because there's a risk, right? I mean, at the end of the day, love them or hate them, banks are the most risk-averse partner you will ever have in a deal. And so if anything goes against, what they typically like to do, they see red flags. To be fair, though, I also don't like ground leases. And I'll say that from the perspective of I don't like owning a building and then I'm paying to lease the ground. I'll buy land and lease that to somebody else. But those are two very different things, right? Because if you own the land, eventually you're going to inherit that building. If you own the building, eventually you're going to lose that building. So that's typically why banks don't like them. Now, if you have a 99-year lease, fine. They don't care. They'll probably lend to you. It just depends on the terms of the deal. But that's why. We actually had that conversation last night in our group coaching call. You don't get to depreciate land, right? Land is not really depreciable, according to the IRS. It doesn't lose value just because you own it, whereas a building can. So there's a lot of other benefits to it that aren't necessarily just rental income, right? So a couple things to keep in mind. The adventure investor, if you buy a building and separate fixtures, kitchen equipment, etc., do you pay taxes on the fixtures? Oh gosh, man, that is a question for a CPA. We have always just lumped everything into one price for the real estate, and the fixtures come with it. I would imagine if you separate them out, then yeah, you're probably going to have to pay taxes on it. I'm not a CPA though. It depends on how you decide to look at it. I mean, fixtures are affixed to the real property, which makes them a piece of the real property. So I've never encountered that before. It's never been a discussion in our tax planning. So I would imagine it doesn't affect anything, but it probably depends on how your CPA decides that they want to structure everything. I don't see a benefit in structuring it that way, but everybody's tax planning is different. So something to keep in mind. Vaughn is saying, current residential agent with commercial multifamily experience. Any tips on going full-time with commercial and opening a brokerage? Oh, man. I touched on going full-time commercial a little bit earlier, so I'll save everybody else. Vaughn, if you don't mind just going back and re-listening to the front of the podcast. As far as opening a brokerage goes, man, the biggest thing there is determining your ideal client profile and having a hell of a branding and marketing session, campaign, whatever you want to call it. What is going to differentiate you from everybody else, right? When I started the Cobble Group, we were the East Nashville brokerage. We were the only ones that were over here. That's like the 90% of what we did. So everybody in town, when they heard East Nashville, they thought of us, right? My buddy Logan Freeman, Exchange CRE. All they do is handle 1031 exchanges. They want to help people that are in a 1031 exchange buy real estate. Man, that's a pretty compelling sales pitch, right? You don't want to just be the next commercial real estate brokerage. Find something that gives you a competitive advantage and really lean on that. Guys, I'm sorry we're out of time. I know there's so many more questions. If you could leave them in the regular comments of the video, I promise I will get to them and get you an answer. Thank you all for joining me on this episode of Office Hours, and I'll see you all next Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Are you looking to take the next step toward investing in commercial real estate but don't know where to go? CRE Central offers a comprehensive education and coaching platform designed to help you get started. Our online courses cover a wide range of topics, from the fundamentals to advanced strategies, ensuring you have the knowledge and skills needed to thrive in this competitive industry. As a member, you'll gain access to our exclusive online community and monthly group coaching calls, providing you with valuable networking opportunities and personalized guidance from experienced professionals. Whether you're a beginner or looking to take your career to the next level, CRE Central has the resources you need. Visit www.crecentral.com to learn more.